Hey everybody, before we get started today, I'd like to issue an apology to our Mormon viewers about something I put in the last episode. I mentioned the Mormon belief about where people with black skin originate from, and I didn't mention the fact that the Church of Latter-day Saints changed the text in the 70s, so it's no longer a part of mainstream Mormonism. And in fairness, I also should have mentioned the Curse of Ham, which is a very similar belief that's just found in mainstream Christianity. It has to deal with Moses. It's also another curse for some improper actions. So, sorry guys. I've always wanted to make an electrical pylon miniature. They're a big part of the aesthetic of Fallout, one of my favorite video game franchises. And as a truck driver, you realize that wind turbines and pylons, they just dominate the horizon here in the US. Now you can buy models of them, but I couldn't find anything in a 28mm scale, and the ones that I could find were pretty expensive and came in a lot of pieces. This one model comes in 90 pieces. At that point, you may as well craft your own. And so I did. Yeah, it's a little bit small for 28mm, but for Gaslands or something like that, it works perfectly. But there would be no trick to scaling this up. In fact, it would probably be easier to do if you scale it up because some of the finer cuts near the top would be easier to do on a larger model. Now this is just a cardboard from a cereal box, hot glue, PVA glue, and cheap acrylic craft paint. The only tools you'll need are a hot glue gun, a utility knife, and scissors. You'll also need access to a computer printer. But before I show you how I made this, let me walk you through my first two attempts and how this project evolved over time. This poor thing is my first attempt. I made it by cutting way too many tiny strips of cardboard and connecting them with hot glue. I did this while watching TV and I didn't measure anything, I just sort of felt my way along. The little insulators dangling from the side are just cheap plastic beads. I don't hate it, but it's not very good. My second attempt, I thought I'd try to give it more of a machined look and make it seem less handmade. So the framework uses the same cardboard corners taken from a cereal box like the first model, but this time I made sure they were cut more uniformly, and the support structures inside are made from thin wooden skewers. Now this has a much better aesthetic, but it misses the mark just as much. It's an okay sci-fi structure or a piece of modern sculpture, but it doesn't really look like a pylon. So my takeaway from both these projects was that if this was going to happen, I'd have to minimize the sort of human errors that come with handcrafting. This requires uniformity, and then I thought, well, what if I started with a blueprint? So I drew this up in an art program, and I realized this isn't a blueprint so much as a stencil. I printed it out on cardstock and then stenciled onto some cardboard. I pinned the cardboard down to an old clipboard. I have a bunch of these, and I used them to dry out brushes after cleaning. I joined the four corners with hot glue, with the smooth side out to make it seem more like metal. I cut a couple of cardboard V's out to make them seem less like it's been stamped out of one piece. Then I took it outside for a spray of flat white primer. I then added the red stripes with a brush. And lastly, I strengthened the four legs by coating them in PVA glue. The best part about this method is I'm certain I can use it to make a lot of other terrain pieces for next to nothing. If you'd like to use my blueprints, they are available on the Miniature Mashup Facebook page. The link is in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider donating to my GoFundMe campaign. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.